Hello, good evening from Japan. This is Gray from Okazashi's Tea House. How are you doing? Are you good? Are you genki? Are you having a good morning? Have you had a good day wherever you are? Is it lunchtime? Is it nighttime like me? Or is it breakfast time? And if so, what are you having for breakfast? Okay, good to see Dempsey in the chat. He's brandishing the gunslinger spawn emojis, looking cool. Wish it showed up on StreamYard too. And Wakizashi was there with the Shokasugi. Good morning. So yeah, looking forward to this. It's a bit of an impromptu live stream. I was supposed to be making a new comic book review video, but I wanted to talk about this big news today. Not just today. I think it's happened at the weekend, so I'm only really talking about it now. But I did see a very good video on Robert Meyer Burnett's channel about it, where he went into detail about this whole thing with Roald Dahl's books, his children's books being, not so much censored, but basically partly rewritten to fit in with modern language and modern sensibilities, if you can believe that. Now, I don't know if you've heard this in the news. I don't know if it's made the news over in the States, but I grew up reading Roald Dahl. He was, a really popular children's author, and he was already pretty old when I was a kid. We're talking years ago. But I remember reading books like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so famous, George's Marvelous Medicine, The Twits, The Witches, Danny the Champion of the World, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and one of my favourites was James and the Giant Peach, which I read pretty young. And there was also, there's a really good kind of stop motion animated version of that, but there was an earlier one, a proper cartoon version, which I loved as a child. So yeah. Oh wow, we've got people in the chat. What's going on? Dempsey's saying it's breakfast time, having some coffee. Good for you, mate. Good morning to you, and good evening. Thanks, mate. Captain Fandom, how are you? I hope you're good. Hey there, Jay the Deep Minded. Hi Gray, happy lunchtime from the UK. Leftover Lancashire hot pot for lunch. That sounds awesome. Well, I'm having a sneaky beer. I know it's early in the morning in the States and it's lunchtime in the UK, but tomorrow I've got a day off. It's a Japanese holiday, so there we go. Yeah, but I'm sure Jay's heard about it, but the news is new editions of Roald Dahl books have readers up in arms. Now, I want to read a little bit from the many articles about it, but there's one on the NPR website. Just let me share my screen. 2 ticks. Here we go. Let's see what happens. So, this was published on February 21st, 5 a.m. Wow, by Jacqueline Diaz. Lovely covers there of Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and James and the Giant Peach. Look at those hardback editions. They were from 2011, it says in the photo. So basically, I'm going to read from this and I'm going to comment on it as well as we go. So the new editions of the legendary works by British author Roald Dahl are being edited to remove words that could be deemed offensive to some readers, according to the Late Writers' Company. Now, as I just mentioned, Dahl wrote such famous books as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, and Fantastic Mr. Fox, and many more. The British newspaper The Telegraph first reported that the publisher of Dahl's books, Puffin Books, it's the children's imprint of Penguin, they made hundreds of changes to the original texts of the author's well-known children's books. For example, here's one. The character Augustus Gloop, the great big fat nincompoop, he's in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That was off my memory, I don't know if that's right or not. But of course now he's no longer called fat. Instead, he's described as enormous, the Telegraph reports. Now, just let's stop there for a minute, yeah. Fat and enormous, to me, are completely different meanings. You describe a person as fat or whatever, an animal as fat, a cat that's fat, you get the idea. It's a bit porky, maybe, a bit, shall we say, rounded. But when you describe somebody or something as enormous, it sounds like, a mountain or, a big building or something. So you're losing the meaning with these changes in words. That's just one example. Can't say fat. Why not? children are smart enough to know it's not talking about them, whether they are or aren't overweight. It's just like, this really annoys me, because this is an approach made by adults who think, they have children's best interests at heart. But adults are changing it, not children. Children aren't asking for it to be changed. So, looking good. Hey Jay, I love the BFG. That's a great book as well. There are so many, aren't they? I was always a big fan of the witches and the twits. I like the darker, creepier stuff, because, yeah, sure, Roald Dahl could write, pretty disgusting stories or have disgusting characters, but that's what made it fun. That's what made you want to read them as a kid, and it's a great way to get young readers into reading, don't you think? Is it just me? Am I being crazy? But no, it's not just me, because there's been quite a big outcry about this story. As Dempsey says, it should be criminal. It shouldn't be allowed. It is censorship, isn't it? It's a form of censorship. It's 1984, Big Brother, changing history, changing the news, changing what's been written to supposedly, not save, what's the word? To shield delicate people from being upset. Or, I tell you, I'm going to go into it in more detail, but yeah. So, as far as I know, this is from Roald Dahl's, either his estate or the company that owns the rights to his books. Here we go. It says the Roald Dahl Story Company, which manages the copyrights of Dahl's books and works with the publishers. They didn't respond, by the way, to this article and to many articles who people have tried to get in contact and say, what's your comment on this? Also, Puffin, which is the Penguin Young Readers imprint. So it's between both of them. Now, this is what I want to point out. Listen to this. This is where it starts to get scary. The Roald Dahl Story Company told the Associated Press that it worked with Puffin to review the books out of a desire to ensure, here we are in quotations, Dahl's wonderful stories and characters continue to be enjoyed by all children today. All children, note that. So that's insinuating that not all children could enjoy these books or stories before. Children who've been enjoying them for 50, how long is it? More than 50 years. The company said it worked with, now this is the one, this is a scary one, Inclusive Minds, an organisation that works for inclusivity in children's books. Now, there's nothing wrong with inclusivity, but I'm going to read from their website in a little bit, and wait till you hear what they've got to say. Changes were small and carefully considered, the company told the Associated Press. Despite, earlier on it says, hundreds of changes to the writing, not just words being changed, actual sentences being changed, sentences being removed, not just a couple of words here and there. We're talking hundreds. Now, they've got some examples in this article, and if you check on Twitter, you'll find quite a few. The changes have drawn criticism from advocacy groups, readers and writers. Suzanne Nossel, the CEO of the free expression group PEN America, called the changes alarming. I think this is from her here, the quote. Amidst fierce battles against book bans and strictures on what can be taught and read, selective editing to make works of literature conform to particular sensibilities could represent a dangerous new weapon, Nossel tweeted. So if you look out for her tweets, Suzanne Nossel from PEN America, she puts quite a few good examples of the changes, and it's just quite bizarre, some of them. Those who might cheer specific edits to Dahl's work should consider how the power to rewrite books might be used in the hands of those who do not share their values and sensibilities. So again, we're not talking about, blatantly racist language, which probably should be changed. I mean, there are many people who argue it shouldn't. It should leave the text as it is, but you can look at Mark Twain, you can look at H.P. Lovecraft, two authors that spring to mind straight away. But yeah, if it's something very, very insulting, we've kind of gone past those words, then maybe just change that single word. But you're talking about changing parts of the story, characters descriptions, characters' quotes, what they talk about, what characters do. We also had the renowned author Salman Rushdie. he stepped in to talk about it, and now he's pretty famous. I don't know if you know him. He was targeted for his own work. He wrote a book called The Satanic Verses many years ago, and at that time the current Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran called for his death because some Muslims considered the book blasphemous. Anyway, what I didn't even know was that Rushdie was stabbed in August. I think this year. Was it this year? No, sorry, last year. He lost vision in one eye and has nerve damage. He was stabbed in an event in New York. This is years after the Ayatollah called for his death. Unbelievable, for writing a book. Anyway, Salman Rushdie had this to say: Roald Dahl was no angel, but this is absurd censorship. Puffin Books and the Dahl estate should be ashamed. Rushdie tweeted. Just a little bit more here. It says Dahl, of course, he's no longer with us. He died in 1990 at the age of 74 after writing a number of children's books and stories that have been translated into 68 languages. Some of his books became classic movies as well. His book Matilda was just recently made into a musical film for Netflix, and it premiered last year. Now, Netflix, this is important. Apparently, they have bought the rights to a lot of his works. That deal was made a couple of years ago, hence maybe why the changes are being pushed. So part of this maybe is Netflix too. And then they end the article here by saying, though Roald Dahl's work is revered, he was also a controversial figure for some anti-Semitic comments he made throughout his life. There we go. The Roald Dahl Story Company, so the company that handles his rights, publishing rights now, they issued an apology in 2020. Okay, so that's the main article. So I'll say that was from NPR, published on February 21st, and it's written by Jacqueline Diaz. Let's get back to you guys. Okay, good morning, good to see you. Wow, everybody's here. Why change his work, says Dempsey? He isn't here to give his permission. I think that should be illegal to do. Exactly, mate. Once an author's passed away, you shouldn't be able to change their writing, because you could argue, okay, this is just children's books. They're trying to say it's only a few changes, but it's not. It's significant changes to, say, characters' descriptions, and just like, even not just characters, but one example I couldn't quite believe was they changed a spider, one of the characters in James the Giant Peach. It's no longer called a black spider head, just a spider. They took the word black out. Now, I don't know about you. I've seen spiders of different colours, fair enough, but, a general idea is the kind of black or a dark brown, a dark colour. What's that got to do with anything? Another one is they've removed the term white as a ghost or turned white, or white in shock. You're not allowed to say that, apparently, in these Puffin children's books anymore. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, let me get back to you guys in the chat. You guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Jay the Deep Minded saying, to me, this is absolute cultural vandalism. I hate the Dahl family has approved this. Yes, me too. I couldn't believe it. I guess, they just couldn't turn away from the smell of the money they were being offered by Netflix, I guess, and probably Puffin too. Also, says Dempsey, I'm pretty sure that Willy Wonka was a serial killer. He was not. Maybe he was portrayed like that in the Johnny Depp version of the movie, but I love Willy Wonka in the original, the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka from the movie back in, I think it was the early 70s. That's a great version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think it's much better than the Johnny Depp version. I should say the Tim Burton version. Much, much better. Hey, Magitech Mags in the house. Good to see you. What do you think, Mags? Rewriting famous children's books. Well, the author's no longer here to protest. His family have approved it because, I'm going to go into it, but yeah, for inclusive language. That's the main reason. So that all children can enjoy them as if they didn't used to enjoy them. Yeah, of course some people don't like the squeamish parts of the books, but that's what makes them fun. Do you want everybody to enjoy everything? Has everyone got to have the same tastes? Everything got to be improved for every person? Then we just might as well forget about, life and just, I don't know, I'm kind of losing it here, but like, do you want us all to be the same? Is that what some people want? We don't have our own opinions. We just have to follow the, official news, the official lines in the books. It is turning into 1984. It's not a joke. It's ridiculous. It's like rewriting not just history, rewriting literature. So where do you stop? Do you go back and start to rewrite Dante? Do you go back and, rewrite Paradise Lost? Byron, the poets? Do you go back to the Bible? Oh, wait a minute, there's some words in there which are not inclusive enough these days, so I think we better start changing the passages in the Bible. This is unbelievable. Yeah, you could say I'm being a bit dramatic and over-exaggerating it, but this is a huge deal because his books are massive sellers, all over the world. As it said before, is it over 60 languages it translated into? And I loved them growing up, and I don't know, what's the word? I'm kind of modest, but I think I turned out all right. I've read some crazy stuff in my life as well, but you should have the choice. They shouldn't take that choice away from you, that you can't, choose a book and read it in its original form. Do you go back to start doing this with Shakespeare and Chaucer? Yeah, just crazy. What do you think in the chat? Let me know. Do you think, is it all about money, or is it more? Is a more sinister plan? Jay saying that Dahl really understood the humour of kids, especially little boys. It was always a bit naughty, but that's the joy of it, isn't it, Jay? Exactly as you say there. Yeah, I think they often appealed more to boys than girls because he was, he was a man. He was remembering his childhood. He was writing for, I guess, young boys. And it's all kind of famous that he didn't really like children. I don't know if that's just what's the word, a false reputation or what, like an urban myth, but yeah, but he wrote like he understood children. He didn't write down to children. He wrote like on their level. He knew, as you say, what little boys love, like crazy, dirty, creepy things. And even little girls too. Why not read something like that? And if it freaks them out, I'm sure they're not going to stop reading and throw the book and, go crying to mummy and daddy. They're going to make a decision for themselves because they're not stupid and just, okay, maybe I'll skip that little bit. It's a bit weird or a bit grotesque, and just carry on reading. But taking away that choice, that's where the problem lies. As Magitech Mags says, inclusiveness usually means conforming to their truth, their narrative. Exactly. It's inclusive, but from a certain perspective, isn't it? It's like, who decides which version of a story is inclusive enough? Who is making these decisions? It's not children, is it? It's not the kids who these books are targeted towards. It's people, adults who think they know better than the children and often don't. It's unbelievable, isn't it? So I'm going to read a little bit from this Inclusive Minds. Even that name, this group, this company, that name alone is enough to make me afraid. Inclusive Minds. Dangerous times, mate. Dangerous times, you're Obama. You're right there. Here we go, Dempsey saying, I found that you can literally swap out the words inclusiveness for less white people. Yeah, not just white, is it? Less white, less male. Take out the white male most of the time, but hey, what do I know? Me too, mate. What do I know? I've no idea. Angry's lurking, Grey. Not sure what this story's all about. Just seeing it everywhere. Yeah, it's about rewriting literature. Children's literature, rewriting books. Censorship, basically. It's about Big Brother, the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Inclusivity. Good to see you all anyway. Angry, are you pumped up about the podcast? I know that I am, says Dempsey. Yeah, looking forward to that. About computer game music. Yes, I am looking forward to it, says Angry. And Nerporial is going to be in on that as well. Great, that sounds very cool. Daniel, how are you, mate? Good morning to you in the States. It's 9:50 p.m. here. Just having a little bit of a mini grey rant about Roald Dahl's books, which I grew up, loving and reading, and now the new editions are being rewritten. Not completely. That's what they'll argue. Oh, we've only made a few changes, but according to people who've looked into it, there are hundreds of changes to the books, to the language, words taken out, whole sentences removed, new ones rewritten, right? Can you believe that? Someone has taken it upon themselves to write Dahl's story, change it. Oh no, I can write a better version of that or a more inclusive version of that line. Unbelievable. How do they qualify for this? Who decides and who has the right to do that outside of Dahl's family? Unbelievable. Yeah. Wow. So many people. I can't believe it. It's like 8 people watching. I thought there'd be nobody up and nobody around because it's really early morning and late. Well, not too late in Japan. Late for me because I'm an old man. It's time to make friends with your local second-hand bookshop. Jay the Deep-Minded. I saw your post on Twitter that, you picked up second-hand copies, a great collection of Roald Dahl books. Absolutely, that's what I'm going to be doing. I've got quite a few myself. I'm just checking. I've got a version of Matilda, but I think this is... It's not a brand new one. It's 2011, and there are changes to it, I've noticed. Just a few. Nothing like what they're doing now, but just a few changes. I've got his 2... autobiographies, Boy, Tales of Childhood, and Going Solo, which I don't think they're being rewritten. Well, God, I hope not, because they're his autobiographies and they're really good, fascinating, really, really good to read. It's like another world. Well, it really was, wasn't it? Where are we? Ooh, there we go. I'm sure I've got more. I couldn't find them in time to get ready, but I don't have the original copies I used to read when I was a kid, but I remember borrowing them from the school library when it wasn't even before I was 10, I think, under 10 years old, and loving the twits because it was grotesque and crazy and rude, and funny. I also have Tales of the Unexpected, but this is for older readers, so as far as I know, this won't be changed. It's just the children's books which are being published by Puffin. There we go. Oh, sorry, Daniel, just missed that one. Yes, changing a book, pure evil. It is. It's censorship to the worst degree, I think, isn't it? I mean, we're already seeing it, aren't we, in movies? We've seen that happening. Things taken out of, for example, one that springs to mind is the E.T. movie. Spielberg took out the guns, didn't he? And they weren't even used. They were just like hanging on someone's belt. They were edited out to be changed with keys instead. You can't show a gun. It's got to be keys in a children's movie. If you're going to start censoring like this and removing possibly, hurtful language, how are children going to grow up? They're not going to be ready for the world, the real world, are they? Because it's not like this, wonderful, God knows what's the word, utopia that people think they're making with this inclusivity, like commands and, I don't know, commandments, rules. What kind of world are they getting children ready for? The world of TikTok? The world of Twitter? Seems that way, doesn't it? Yes, good morning to you all. Dempsey saying normal people have a tunnel of horrors that they force people to traverse while screaming at them. Is that right? Screaming or creaming? Screaming. And the end game, says Mags, is to rewrite all stories so we as humanity have nothing to strive for, but go conform to authoritative standards. Exactly. It makes us easier to comply and control. That's it. They're taking away, not about free will, but they're taking away, kind of in a way, they're taking away the freedom of choice, the freedom to choose to read something, shocking or upsetting. You should be able to do that, because then if you experience it in real life, you'll have an idea of how to handle it. Like, all right, okay, I remember reading about that, and that wasn't good. That made me feel bad. So if I hear someone like using that language in real life, maybe, I don't know, you've got a better idea of how to approach that kind of situation. But if you can't say whitewashing anymore, can you? If they're whitewashing things, if they're censoring things to make it a perfect world where, everybody loves everybody and everyone is the same, that's what I'm worried about. They're trying to take away individuality, take out colours. Imagine that you can't say a black spider or turning white. Shocked white in shock. Unbelievable. You can't say the word fat in a children's book. Well, these particular children's books. You've got to say enormous, which to me sounds absolutely ginormous, huge. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Yeah, Daniel, it wouldn't surprise me. Next, they will be covering up the classic nude paintings, works of art. Your Barmy, communism could be the end goal, mate. It could be. Statues being toppled. They just want us all to conform and agree to the same rules. But who makes the rules? Who watches the watchmen? That's the question. Yep, they'll try and topple the older statues like David because it isn't diverse enough. It's another form of indoctrinating children, says Jay the Deep Minded, into a cult. Books with sexual content for kids are approved. That's right, gender identity books, gender swapping, sexual transformations. Books that suggest eating too much makes you fat are censored now. You can't say fat. Augustus Gloop, famous, for being a complete glutton and greedy, eating too much chocolate, too much sweets, is a fat boy in the book. That's the whole point. It's an integral part of the story. When he gets stuck in the tube from the chocolate lake, is it reservoir or lake, where he's been sucked up and he gets stuck. He ends up becoming thin. That's the whole point of that character. You take the word fat out and you've lost the meaning of the story for that character. That character's, development is gone. I was saying that, Daniel, not as a joke, as like almost, the ultimate extreme. Are they going to go for the Bible? Is that the end game? But it's not even a joke, is it, anymore? Changing the Bible could be the primary goal of these people. Let's be clear. Change ultimate means to destroy. Well said. Hey, Pops, are you talking about it as well, mate? Yeah, it needs to be, I think it needs to be talked about. As I say, there's a link for members on the, I don't even want to say the word, community. Oh no, community. There's a community members post with a link to this stream if you want to pop in for a bit and have a bit of a rant. Go for it, you're welcome. Pops. Rage, don't rant. Rage against the dying of the light. Rage against the dying of publishing, of literature, of uncensored books for children. It's unbelievable. Great to see you all. Daniel and Gray, I know there's a verse at the end of the Bible about the fate of those who change its words. Look at that from Dempsey, Revelation 22:18-19. Fantastic. To quote, I warn everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this scroll. If anyone adds anything to them, God will add to that person the plagues described in that scroll. So yeah, don't be changing my books, mate. Don't be changing my books. That's cool. And verse 19. If anyone takes words away from this scroll of prophecy, God will take away from that person any share in the tree of life and in the holy city, which are described in this scroll. It's not the first time, is it? But it's a surprise because it's being done to such an extent, because he's written so many books. Let's have a quick scan of the inside cover of Matilda and see what pops up. Just give you an idea. Okay, it doesn't have Roald Dahl's. No way, it has a list of different Puffin books, but not his. Crazy, right? Let's go to Boy. So the inside cover of Boy. This is my old copy from the UK. When was this published? It was first published in 1984. This version is 86. Wow. Had this for years. No way. Just a couple here listed. As you know, Charlie Chocolate Factory, The Magic Finger. No comment. Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Twits, I love that. The BFG, The Witches, of course, James the Giant Peach, Danny the Champion of the World, SEO Trot. Did I say George's Marvelous Medicine? Matilda, we talked about. These are ones that just come into my mind. I'm sure there are many more which I've forgotten. Yeah. Okay, sorry guys, I'm miles behind the comments. Let me catch up. Here we go. Daniel say no one has the right to alter art ever, not even the artists themselves. Art is owned by posterity. Lucas had no right to alter Star Wars. Oh mate, when the special editions came out and he like tinkered with them, I think he made them quite a lot worse. Quite a lot worse. Hey there, anti-derivative Jill. How you doing? Simply rewriting all the books is way more insidious than a straight up book burning. It's crazy, isn't it? It really is. You wonder, don't you, which is worse? To change the actual original text, Jill, you're right, it has to be worse, doesn't it? To change the text, it's unbelievable. Haha, yeah, Wacky's a bit of an oddball, I say. I'll check out your comic talk. What are you talking about, Angry? Yeah, you have a good night, mate. Good night, take it easy. An oddball for raging against book censorship for children. Bless chat. You guys take care. I appreciate you popping in. As I say, welcome to join. The Pops is saying The Monuments Men is a film that's centred on the Germans seizing and removing art, and it was watered down version of what they actually did. Hashtag never again. Similar thing happened in China, in Japan. We're talking many, many, many years ago. It's happened in, well, the Taliban were doing it, weren't they, in some of their countries, like getting rid of, knocking down like ruins and temples and things, getting rid of classic art. Unbelievable. Jay saying that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is a morality tale. The child with a good heart who does the right thing gets a reward. They hate that. They hate it, don't they, when if we have a good heart and we're trying to do the best thing, without being told what to do, without being explained what to do. You know, you should have a free will, a free mind to make up your own mind. You've got to give children that the chance to make the decisions by themselves. You can't decide for them before they even have a chance, to find out what's wrong, what's right. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. You get experience. You make mistakes. You might use a bad word. You might call somebody something and then think later, oh, well, that was a terrible thing. I never should have done that. So you learn through that. I don't know what they're expecting. They're talking about they want perfect, inclusive children who can all enjoy the same thing, but they don't want that for children. They want to change what is being read. They want to change, what they're enjoying to make it approved by them. But again, it goes back to who are they and who has that right. Daniel, I can barely see at 7 a.m, much less speak. According to thought, mate. It's 10 p.m. here, and I'm kind of rambling on. Waffles in the chat for Grave. I'm waffling. Go for it. And Dempsey's touche, sir. You used, is it cogent or I can't even say the word cogent better than most wide awake adults. Yeah, mate. Daniel, I wish I had your vocabulary skills. Living in Japan for 20 years, I've lost half my English. I've lost most of my Japanese. My French is gone Japanese. God knows what's going on. And I'm not drunk, by the way. This is a nice, slow, small can of beer. Look at this. Beautiful design. It's a Ebbis. They are the sponsors of today's show. No, not really. I'm just joking. Great. I love the image on that. The weird kind of fisherman. How to get into focus. There we go. Yes. It's nice. It's a simple kind of lagery taste. Pilsner lager taste. Sorry about that, guys and girls, to be talking about alcohol when it's early in the morning for you. Enjoy your coffee. I always start with a nice strong coffee. Your barmy, it's all garbage now. It's been set on the path of cancellation. I hope not. I really hope not. I hope there's a big fight back about this. There has been a big reaction, but there's also been reaction to the reaction. Some people coming out and saying, oh, I think people are making too much of this. They're overreacting. It's only a few words here and there, and it's it's old-fashioned language, which is not considered to be, what's the word? Not correct. Well, kind of correct, isn't it? Acceptable in our modern age, in our modern inclusive, diverse age. They talk about inclusivity and diversity, but they're actually stopping that from happening by their actions. They're killing it. It's diversity from their perspective, which is not diversity or even inclusivity. Who makes these rules? Who allows that to happen? We do, don't we? We allow it to happen. No, we don't. We've got to say no about this. People have to begin illegally printing, trial versions. Absolutely, Daniel. Mags is saying, oftentimes it's situations like this that reminds me of the story The Giver by Lois Lowry. I've never read it. That book was a warning. I know the title. It's a famous cover as well, but I've never read it. Is it good, Mags? Is it worth reading? Great to see you all here. Something crazy is happening. I've got a new record of viewers for some reason. It says 18 people watching. Now for me, don't laugh out there. That's huge. It was 7 or 8 before. What's going on? Crazy. Fantastic to see you all. Jay is saying, I think it's time for us all to be reminded of what happened during the Cultural Revolution in China. To forget history is to risk repeating it. May I tell you what, we don't get taught about that at school, of course. When I was doing my year's travelling working holiday in Australia, I read the book Wild Swans. I think it's due. Oh my God, I don't want to get the name wrong, so I won't say who it's by, but I'm sure you've heard of it. Wild Swans. It's a great book, fantastic. It's based on her life growing up and her parents' and grandparents' lives, and it tells you exactly what was going on. How bad it was, the Cultural Revolution. Oh God, the things that happened, the things they did, destroying, literature and art. Just awful, awful. It's not going to happen here, is it? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to happen in the States. We won't allow it, right? The UK, Europe, Japan, hopefully, even though Japan kind of seems to follow the herd. The group thing, the group mentality is kind of very strong over here. If they came in for anime and manga, which they're trying to, what do you reckon? I don't think the Japanese would let them change it. I hope not. But it does get changed, Again, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but the English translations of a lot of the manga are changed. They're censored. Not just the words, they censor some of the, more, shall we say, risque pictures and things. So again, it's been going on for years. But yeah, this really gets me with the children's books. These are children's books, written by somebody who understood children or how to write for children. He never spoke down to them. He wrote really directly for children and let them make up their own minds about the story. That's what's so important. They should be able to do that, The people who are making these decisions to rewrite, they don't understand children, or they think, they have a right to decide what their children are allowed. Do they even have children themselves? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Okay, waffle, waffle, waffle. Thanks, Dempsey. Good morning to you all again. Yeah, Magitech Mags. It's good to see Jill, anti-derivative Jill, in here. And I've seen you on Twitter, I've seen you here and there, but yeah, great to see you popping in, appreciate it. Did they do this to Tolkien too? Or are you talking about the Amazon atrocity asking to Pops? Oh, sorry, I missed that comment. Pops is saying, it's really sad the families are complicit in these decisions. I think the Tolkien one, Jill, is about Rings of Power, isn't it? It's about that. How it was, not even rewritten, it was just pretty much made up, and how they changed orcs and elves and dwarves and just changed the source completely. Where are we? Let's go down. Hey, how you doing? Great to see you, Calder. This issue makes me so angry. I got my order in for the 16-book set. James and the Giant Peach, it's one of my favourites too. I love that book. That was one of my first, I think, Roald Dahl's, and it really sticks in my mind. Speaking of that, by the way, James and the Giant Peach, okay, you could argue this is a small change, but I think it's an important change. Do you remember the Cloud Men? They're not Cloud Men anymore. They're Cloud People. You can't call them men. The whole point is they're meant to be, you get this image of, huge, grumpy, angry men, Cloud Men, men made of clouds, fighting and throwing like rocks and things. It reminds me of those scenes in Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, when is it Saruman brings a storm down on the mountain, that kind of thing. I get that image in my head. But no, you can't say Cloud Men, it's Cloud People. They've also changed the Oompa Loompas description. They're no longer a small men, they're small people. There you go. Just one example. We need to hold these people who strip what we love to the same standards they give us, says Your Barmy. Absolutely. And Dempsey's talking about Black Panther. I heard someone say that Black Panther was the most diverse ever. I almost laughed directly into their face. Yeah, the most diverse ever if you're looking from a certain perspective. I think there's, in the original movie, there's maybe two white guys. In the follow-up, in the sequel, they actually bring in a white woman too. Amazing. The Giver is a recommend from Mags. Highly recommend it. Okay, cool. As I say, it's something that I've always been aware of, but never read. I don't know why I thought it was a children's book, but hey, nothing wrong with that. Children's books, I've got mine down here. I'm happy to read those. Especially the older ones, like going back to, Tolkien again, even C.S. Lewis, Roald Dahl, the more classic ones, their language is great in those books. They're so well written. I know, how can I do my Greta Thunberg? How dare you? How dare you change what he wrote? How dare you change the language? Thanks, Pops. I can't pronounce the name correctly in Chinese, Mandarin or Cantonese. Sorry, just have to say it's Jung Chang, not Jung. That's Carl Jung, isn't it? I think it's Jung Chang. Wild Swans. Yeah, it opened my eyes to the Cultural Revolution. China's young red revolutionaries is exactly what they are repeating or trying to repeat, Daniel, right now. Yes, Jay, just talking about it. You highly recommend it too, do you? Yeah, it's a great book, fascinating story, really well written as well, beautifully written, but what makes it all the more frightening is it's a true story. True story. Who's next, Dempsey? I was asking that. Is it Shakespeare? Poe? God knows. Robert Frost's The Road. Yeah, often taken. You know, you just lose the whole meaning, don't you, in certain things by just taking out a word or changing a word. And Mags, we were talking about it before, you know, saying, is that how far they're going to go? Are they going to go for the Bible? No way. No way. We can't let them do that. No way. Pops, these people need Gunslinger to show up at their place of business, set things right. That would be cool. So yeah, guys, you still here before I'm going off on a crazy waffle. Let me share. Oh my God, this is scary. This Inclusive Minds website. This is the About section of their website. They're involved in this. The rewriting of Roald Dahl. I'll be quiet. I get paranoid when I share because I start to robot. Rewriting Roald Dahl's children's books. Is that showing up for you? Here we go. Don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here we go. This is about Inclusive Minds. Founded in January 2013, we are an organisation that works with the children's book world to support them in bold here, in authentic representation, primarily by connecting those in the industry with those who've lived experience of any or multiple facets of diversity. Okay, stop you there. Please define diversity. Please define authentic representation. Please define lived experience. No? You don't have that in this little About article? Oh, you don't, do you? So why not? Why are you not being authentic, being authentic, showing it? Here we go, launched 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Helping to raise awareness, this is what they're saying, yeah? Awareness of the importance of better and more authentic inclusion in children's books. Hey, no one's arguing about inclusion. But going back into the past and rewriting books that have already, been published and been enjoyed for years and years, that's not right. The organisation has always evolved with the changing needs of the industry. Hey, mate, you've only been going for 10 years, 2013. As awareness of the need for diversity and inclusion has dramatically risen in recent years. Now, again, this goes back to the whole thing with movies where they're saying, there didn't used to be a female lead in movies before 2015, or there didn't used to be black actors, Asian actors in movies before 2015. It's got ridiculous. They're trying to make out it's only happened recently that we've become aware of diversity and inclusion in recent years. There's less need for Inclusive Minds to campaign for books to be inclusive, but there's a greater need for the practical services we offer in terms of helping ensure authenticity. There you go again. They're deciding what's authentic. Now this is one that got me. Check this out. Let me highlight that. This is what they're saying, and this goes against what the articles are talking about. Inclusive Minds do not edit or rewrite texts. Okay, but you're involved in this rewriting of Roald Dahl's books. Are you saying you had nothing to do with that? They're saying that we provide book creators with valuable insight from people with the relevant lived experience. There you go again, second time. They can take into consideration in the wider process of writing and editing. So they're trying to make out that they just offer advice. And I think they're geared more towards books which haven't been published yet. if you've got a children's book coming out, soon, you're advised, I guess, these days to consult this company or companies like this, to help ensure authenticity and inclusion. Let me just skim down a little bit. This is the scary bit. Can I just go? I'm going to highlight this one here. Check this out. This is amazing. This is straight out of 1984. Over the years, many children's book publishers in the UK, from small independents to members of the big 5 publishing houses, have contacted us to be connected with our network of inclusion ambassadors. Just let that sink in for a minute. Yes, inclusion ambassadors. Okay. I have a question straight away. What does this job involve? How are you qualified for it? What do you need to do to become an inclusion ambassador? Who decides what their role is? Who decides what is inclusive? I want to know the rules. I want to know the details. Okay, this is what they're saying they are. It's a network of young people with many different lived experiences. Third time they've said that. Who are willing to share their insight to help them in the process of creating authentically and often incidentally inclusive books. They are not sensitivity readers, but in a lot of the articles they talk about they are sensitivity readers. Okay, just look at that, inclusion ambassadors. Let me go a little bit more. I'm sorry, okay, no one else is there. Good. Just checking there's no one in the studio. We encourage book creators to ask to connect with the network at the earliest possible stage of the book's development so that inclusion ambassadors can share nuances related to their lived experience as characters are created and plots are developed. This makes it very different from sensitivity reading. So they're trying to distance themselves here from this sensitivity reading, which is for me, it's a new phrase. I didn't even know about it, but I'm sure it's a huge thing these days. I'm sure there are many different companies that provide this service. Look at this, it carries on. Involving our ambassadors is not about cutting potentially controversial content. Really? But rather about, and this is in bold, including and embedding authenticity and inclusive voices and experiences from the outset. Including and embedding authenticity. They're trying to say that people, authors, writers, children's writers, whatever, are not writing authentic stories. They're not authentic unless they consult this company. They're not inclusive enough because they haven't had the lived experience, different lived experiences. Unbelievable. Okay, now this is the bottom bit here. I think this might have been added recently with the whole Roald Dahl thing. Occasionally, publishers approach us to consult inclusion ambassadors, there we go again, looking to reprint older titles. Whilst this is not the main focus for the ambassadors, unbelievable now they're calling them that, we believe better authenticity is achieved through input at development stages. So again, they're talking about they want to get involved before the book's published, when the book's still being written. Are they going to advise people to change their plots, to change their stories, their characters? Probably. We do think those with lived experience, that's the 4th or 5th time, I've lost count now, can provide valuable input when it comes to reviewing language that can be damaging and perpetuate harmful stereotypes. So again, they're suggesting that these children or whoever reads the books, they're going to be hurt by language. They're not aware enough to be able to dismiss it as just a story or a character's idea, a character's personality. Maybe a character is racist or sexist. Does that mean you can't write racist or sexist characters anymore in your books? Think about it. In all our work with marginalised young people, the very real negative impact and damage caused to self-worth and mental health from biased, stereotypical and inauthentic representation is a recurring theme. We're talking about children's books. We're talking about Roald Dahl's books, stories about witches and, twits and giants, peaches that grow to huge sizes and insects that grow big inside and have characteristics and personalities and names. Oh my God. On any project, it's the role of the ambassador to help identify language and portrayals that could be inauthentic or problematic. There we go. We got there right at the end. That was the word I was looking for. Problematic. God, man, aren't you sick of that word these days? They left it till the end. They've been enjoying the inauthentic and lived experience. But yeah, problematic comes in the end, doesn't it? To highlight why, as well as indicate potential solutions, the publisher and or author are then able to make informed decisions regarding what changes they wish to make. Do you think they have any choice in it? Okay, if you want to publish a book, I want you to change this chapter, or take this out, I want you to change this sentence here, this character not inclusive enough, that character can't be in the book, you can't call this character that word, you can't say this, you can't describe them like that. You know, I'm being a bit dramatic, yeah, I'm exaggerating, but this is where we're heading, guys and girls, this is where we're going. Or you could say we're already there. So we've got to stand up for this. No, sorry, not stand up for. That's my incorrect English. We've got to stand up against this. We've got to fight this. And again, right in the last sentence, check it out. They claim they do not edit or rewrite, but Roald Dahl's books have or are being rewritten. Inclusive Minds is here to connect people with relevant lived experience, 6th or 7th time, in the wider process, and do not, in bold, edit or rewrite text. Okay, I think I've waffled on long enough. Is anybody still here? Amazing, can't believe you're still here. That is fantastic. Let me just drop you a quick clip because you guys are amazing. You really are. This is what will happen if you say that you're not going to change your plot or your character for this inclusivity ambassador.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Publish the book, please, Hal. I'm sorry, Wakizashi. I'm afraid I can't do that. Okay, let me get back to you guys. I missed like 10,000 comments. Oh, wow. Dempsey saying, I wish I could sit down with these people. I would say, don't change a single letter, let alone full words. I agree. Again, now, you know, within reason, within limits, of course, you want to take out certain racially upsetting or whatever, you know, words which you just don't use anymore. We've gone past that. You know the kind of words I'm talking about. You'll see them in Mark Twain books or H.P. Lovecraft or even Philip K. Dick. I'm a big fan of PKD, Philip K. Dick. Love his sci-fi, completely bonkers, off his head, amazing ideas, but not the greatest writer and not a great character writer. But he uses not the worst version of the N-word, but there are two versions, if you know what I mean. The word that was used before the really bad one. Yeah, he uses that. I was quite surprised seeing his books, but he was writing in the 60s and 70s. Jay, the Deep Mind, is saying, in my business of non-woke HR consulting, we call this diversity, equity and inclusion grifting. Organisations who are making a ton of money off political activism but masking it behind charitable work. Hey, sounds good. Sounds good to me, Jay. Yes, great, does mean that. Look at what they're trying to do with To Kill a Mockingbird. Yes, good example. If you let them talk long enough, says Dempsey, they will gladly give away their plans. It's like a supervillain monologuing instead of ending the heroes. Yes! What was it, I want to meet one of these inclusivity ambassadors. You know, it's like, it sounds like a supervillain, something, doesn't it? From a comic book or some crazy movie. Or like a joke from South Park. Oh, you know, you're the inclusivity ambassador. Like, what? Are you serious? Oh, I'd love to see the job description, you know, what you need to do to get this role. Ah, dear me. Your Obama is saying, I don't care about racially charged words. It's not okay to edit history. Exactly, you know, we're grown-ups. That's what, you know, we can make our own minds up. But to remove that choice, to remove that decision from you, you know, going back to Roald Dahl, from children, to take away part of the meaning of a story by, you cutting out sentences or changing a word here and there. Where does it end? It's scary. Pops is talking to Daniel saying, sounds like fodder for a parody video. The problematic police. Yeah, we should make a joke out of it, shouldn't we? But I'm sure that, that when I was reading from the Inclusive Minds website, I'm sure they've edited that since this is all kicked off. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. You hear the same words in modern songs. It's important to remember the hurt and hate behind those words. Exactly, Dempsey. If you remove those words from everything, then that hate, that hurt is lost, isn't it? And people will end up making the same mistakes again if it's been wiped from, from the history, from literature. The same thing will happen again. We're supposed to learn from these things, aren't we? You're taking away that choice. It's important to remember, as you say, we can avoid them in future. Yeah, mate, exactly. I just went off on a waffle, but same, great minds think alike, mate. Same thing. Hey, how you doing? Troubled Greens Library. Why we need to support indie authors who publish outside a publishing house to avoid this. Yep. Why we need to buy second-hand, purchase used books. Pick up these collections before they're completely changed. It starts with... Well, it's sure it doesn't just start with Roald Dahl. I'm sure there have been more before him, but it's such an extensive edit on his works because he's got so many. But who's next? C.S. Lewis. Do you take out the Christian allusions from the Narnia books? Is that where they're going? We were half joking but half scared about saying, are they going for the Bible eventually? Is that what they want? Yeah, great to see the Star Trek quotes here. Anti-derivative Jill. Uhura. God, what a great character. Nichelle Nichols, what a great actress. But why should I object to that term, sir? She says. See, in our century, we've learned not to fear words. Round of applause for that. Wish I had the neurotic button to do that. But yeah, there you go. No, you see, they're trying to treat us like idiots. They want us to think we're stupid. They want us to they want to remove this element of choice, the element to learn from mistakes. It's frightening. It really is. Okay, well, I've been going for an hour. I'm not going to go on too much longer. Before I finish, let me share a little bit from the twits. Here we go. Let me share the screen. I want to read some of the twits. This is a preview from Google Books. And it's chapter 3 from the twits. I just want to read some of Dahl's language. And this is 2007. This version was published because he died in 1990. So I don't think it's been changed, but it could be. I think, to be fair, they used to change a few words for like the country. So, some British English words were not understood in, say, America or maybe Canada or somewhere like that. Maybe they did do minor changes, which you can kind of understand. But I would argue that no, they should be left alone as they are originally published. And I think Roald Dahl has said that in interviews before he passed away, that he didn't want any changes. The whole point is this: they are written by a British author, so it's going to have the language and people can understand that. You don't change the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, do you? Because they're very British, very English humour. You've changed those, you're going to lose part of the meaning and lose some of the comedy. Okay, chapter 3, Dirty Beards. Now, this is no offence to or attack anyone with a beard. I don't have a beard, but hey, this is all about inclusivity, isn't it, and diversity. So I'm kind of I'm reading this from a beard envy perspective. A bit of Roald Dahl's language. As you know, an ordinary, unhairy face like yours or mine simply gets a bit smudgy if it's not washed often enough, and there's nothing so awful about that. But a hairy face is a very different matter. Things cling to hairs, especially food. Things like gravy go right in among the hairs and stay there. You and I can wipe our smooth faces with a flannel and we quickly look more or less all right again, but the hairy man cannot do that. We can also, if we're careful, eat our meals without spreading food all over our faces, but not so the hairy man. Watch carefully next time you see a hairy man eating his lunch and you'll notice that even if he opens his mouth very wide, it's impossible for him to get a spoonful of beef stew or ice cream and chocolate sauce into it without leaving some of it on the hairs. Now, I chose this for a reason, right? It's a joke. It's a joke, I'm not attacking people with beards, but if you go from this inclusive mind perspective, people with beards, will be going up in arms like, oh my God, how dare you attack me with my beard? I want all the references to beards as being bad taken out of this book. Great picture here, Quentin Blake, love his art. I think they've even changed some of those as well. They're trying to edit some of the pictures or censor some. Frightening. Mr. Twit didn't even bother to open his mouth wide when he ate. As a result, and because he never washed, there were always hundreds of bits of old breakfasts and lunches and suppers sticking to the hairs around his face. They weren't big bits, mind you, because he used to wipe those off with the back of his hand or on his sleeve while he was eating. But if you look closely, not that you'd ever want to, you would see tiny little specks of dried up scrambled eggs stuck to the hairs, and spinach, tomato ketchup, and fish fingers and minced chicken livers, and all the other disgusting things Mr. Twit liked to eat. If you looked closer still, hold your noses, folks. If you peered deep into the moustachy bristles sticking out over his upper lip, you would probably see much larger objects that had escaped the wipe of his hand. Things that had been there for months and months, like a piece of maggoty green cheese, or a mouldy old cornflake, or even the slimy tail of a tinned sardine. God, it's so good. Oh my God. Roald Dahl, the Twits. I know it's not the best example, and I chose it on purpose, just trying to make a, an exaggerated point. Where are we? Gray admits to beard envy. Yes, it's true. I have beard envy. I can't grow a good beard. I've tried it. My beard becomes multicoloured. I get colours I've never seen in my life trying to come out in my beard, and it just doesn't grow. It just turns into a stubble. My daughter says I look like a homeless bum after a week, so I can't do it. I know you're supposed to stick with it. Can't do it. Hey Nathan, how you doing? A man of Manetheran, speaking for the bearded. I'm man enough to handle anything Dahl throws at me. Nathan, that's it, mate. Exactly. They're trying to take that choice away. The choice of being able to say, and laugh at the daftness, the silliness, the just funniness of that story, that little passage. It's meant to be funny. He's not having to go at people with beards. He's talking about a specific character who in his book is, a grotesque and horrible mean man, and he gets his comeuppance. That's the whole point of the story, the character. Ridiculous. The point I'm making, as you can probably guess, is that, if you change beards to fatness, obesity, which they've taken out now, you can't say that anymore. You've lost the whole meaning of the story, of the character. Beard envy from Gray, it's true. Good morning to you, mate. Nathan, great to see you, mate. Daniel, being mocked for being different is how we all grow as people. I think I turned out all right, and I've been through my fair share of being mocked younger. I still get it now, especially from salty travelling sea. I don't mind. I don't care. Yeah, it's how we become who we are. It's how we develop and grow. How we we work out who we are, our personalities. Look at my portrait in Dahl's book. So sexy. Nathan, you're much sexier than that, Mr. Twit. He's grotesque. Good to see the comments, and great. I really appreciate you sticking with me for so long. It's been brilliant. An hour and 3 minutes. I was only going to go for like 45. Amazing 45 minutes, not 45 hours. It's so daft, isn't it? You're balmy. It's been a while since I heard that word. Dempsey saying, these censorship people would be like, you have to accept this lettuce stuck in my teeth or you're a bigot. Instead of just being like, hey mate, you've got something in your teeth. I know. Yeah, it's where does it end? That is the question. That's the question. So fantastic. Oh, I really enjoy this. It's good. Shame no one dropped in from the members. You're welcome to jump in, but yeah, that's all right. No problem. I'm okay. I won't get upset. What happened to my diversity and inclusivity on my solo Wakizashi live stream? Where's the panel members? Where's the women? Where are the different races? Sorry, you just stuck with me. A daft old British white guy. Yeah, I'm the ultimate villain, aren't I? I'm the bad guy, the current villain of the world, especially being British and white and male. There we go. Great to see you. But yeah, before I finish, I want to drop a couple of clips. Cheers, chat. Find you again, you're balmy. Great to see you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for dropping in. Oh, Daniel, mate, what are you doing? Low spec as well, low spec Linux. Great to see you. Just wrapping things up. Daniel, you sexy star. A word of advice. Whenever you meet someone who has no opinion over the rewriting of works like Dahl, then simply write them off. Those are the ones who stand by while people are ushered into the showers. Oh my God, Daniel. And thank you so much for supporting the channel with $10. That's very, very kind of you. Very generous. I appreciate it. It's thanks to you, Daniel, my channel members, the people who have tipped me, given me super chats in the past. You know, I see you all. I see you here in the chat. Thanks to you that I've got this new mic, which is really, really, really better than it used to be. Thank you so much for that. You probably can't hear much difference, but I tell you, it sounds really good. Maybe not on StreamYard, but when I'm recording, I did like a brief clip from Haruki Murakami's Hear the Wind Sing, just 10 minutes I read of that, the opening, which I love that book, by the way. And hey, that book will probably be cancelled now because it's sexist, it's sexy, it's sexist, it's there aren't enough white people in it. You know, it's Japanese. Oh my God, what's going on there? No, I'm being silly, but thanks to you, I've just got a better sound, and the mic is fantastic. I love it, so I really appreciate it. Just let you know that, you know, the money you've given me to support the channel has gone into helping me get a new microphone. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, Nathan, not enough true Asian representation. It's so true. Oh gosh. Let me drop a clip for Daniel and for all of you out there. What can we do? First of all, something to make you laugh. It can only be Willem Dafoe from The Lighthouse.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
Drunken in a Virginia fence.
I seen it. You're fond of me lobster.
Love that clip. It's hilarious. It's so good. And I can only follow that with, no, I've played it too many times. I can't do it with Nell and I. You're sick of it, aren't you? I know you're sick of it. Should we have something cool instead? Let's drop one of my favourite clips from Akira. Akira! Here we go. One of the many bike chases. Whoa, so good. Fantastic. You're fond of me lobster. You're fond of me lobster, aren't you? You're fond of me lobster. Oh, God, I love that. So good. Dempsey had to get it in, mate. Ninja Scroll. It's going to happen. It's going to happen one day. It will. I'm hoping to do a live stream, which Daniel's requested. It's going to be in March. We're going to have a look at the fantastic, the wonderfully weird Bubblegum Crisis. Hopefully I can get a few people on that panel. I'm going to put the feelers out and see if we can put that together. So yeah, I appreciate that. Again, thanks so much. Thank you, Daniel. Oh my God, what's going on? Is someone dropping a membership? What's going on? What are you doing? Stop it out there. Stop that. It's silly. For some reason, the chat on YouTube Studio is miles behind. What's going on there? Seriously, it's like I've got... Okay, just now we've just got Daniel's super chat. Thank you. Pops gifted a membership. Pops, what are you doing? They don't show up on StreamYard. Do you know that? I don't know if you get a comment about it or not. Oh, there it goes. Joseph Dread's become a member again. Hey, Joe, welcome back. Great to see you. Thank you for that, Pops. I really appreciate it. And Jay's asking, did you see Richard E. Grant's entrance at the BAFTAs? No, I haven't seen it. Well, since you said the name, you summoned him up. Let me drop one of those clips because I have to. No choice. Here we go. I'll drop the one I've played the least. How about that? So it's not the I demand to have some booze. It's not that one. And it's not cake and fine wine. It's the one in the pub with the old man, the old service man.
But I was going for a minute. No man's put me down yet. You had any training in the martial arts?
Have you had any training in the martial arts? I have. So great to see you. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support. You guys rule. You guys rock. You guys make this channel. You keep me going, and you allow me to improve the audio quality, hopefully. So thanks again for that. I appreciate it. Let me drop the new members the closer for. I've got all the members on as far as I know. Members keep changing. The gifted members come and go. These are the members who have recurred as far as I know. If I've missed anybody, let me know and I will add you to the list. Thanks so much for watching. You have a good day wherever you are. Have a great morning, afternoon, and good night from Japan.